I have been thinking about this content for a very long time, but I think it's high time to shake this table and, if possible, break it at once. I know now you're beginning to wonder, what table do I want to break? Yes, I'm going to break the table today. And you're going to know what I'm talking about shortly, okay? And today I'm speaking to the female folks, particularly the married women. Yes, so it's a married women meeting, okay? So I hear this line, like different lines that I hear around sex in marriage with our husbands. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about shortly. Okay, but the reason why I'm doing this video is because the way we think about things influences how we say it and influences what we eventually do at the long run. So the number one line that I hear that I think it's not okay, and I don't think it's something that we should say when it comes to our husbands and sex in marriage. So the first line is, I am giving my husband sex. Does that sound familiar? Yes, I know it's a general thing that a lot of people say, and many of us say it. Probably we don't understand what it really means. But see, the way you think about something influences how you say it, and ultimately that's going to influence what you do. So if you say that I am giving my husband sex, how about if we flip it the other way, and then your husband says, I am giving my wife care and attention and love? How do you think that's going to sound? It's not even going to sound well, right? So if we say that we're giving our husband sex, or you're giving your husband sex, what you're saying is that this is not a responsibility. It is not something that we hold each other. I just have to do it out of demand. You see what I'm saying? It changes how we see things and what we do. Rather than saying it that being part of our responsibility and our commitment to each other in marriage is to share our bodies, and that includes our sex life. So if you see it as a commitment that, sharing my body and having sex with my husband is a commitment and not it's a commitment and not something that I'm doing because somebody is asking for it, or because my husband is asking for it, is gonna change how you relate with your husband when it comes to sex. So I don't think it's a good idea to say that my husband is asking for sex. So when you say that, you're making it sound like, yes, it is not a responsibility that both of you hold each other. Somebody's just trying to demand for something that is unreasonable. Okay. And whatever I'm saying, I know that relationship can be a complicated thing, and I'm not being like overly being general here, okay? But I'm saying that in a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage, this is not a line that I think we should be saying as wives, okay? Because if we say that, it changes how we relate with our husband when it comes to sex. So rather than you thinking about how can you initiate sex, how can you meet that responsibility, and how can you fulfill your part of the commitment of sharing your body, you're already thinking that your husband is asking for sex. So you probably won't even want to go extra mile. And let's even now say that there are times that your husband says, okay, babe, can we go to the other room and have a nice time? You see that as a negative thing rather than seeing it as something that is positive, okay? You see it as a negative thing because already you think in your mind that your husband is asking for sex. Okay. So that's the first line. So rather than saying that your husband is asking for sex, we need to understand that once we sign up for marriage, part of what you're signing up for is to share your body, and that includes your sexual responsibility and commitment to each other. So when you start to say that or see that your husband is asking for sex, you're not going to relate with your husband, when it comes to sex with your husband in love. You're going to do it like an obligation rather than doing it like something that you do because you love your husband. And this is part of the ways to serve each other and meet each other's needs. The second line that I hear most women say a lot is, my husband is always asking for sex. Does that sound familiar? Let me know in the comment section if you can relate to what I'm saying. Or maybe you're even a guy or a man or husband, you're listening to what I'm saying and you think what I'm saying is true. Leave a comment below. My husband is always asking for sex. Now, when I hear these things, the first question that I ask is, where is this coming from? Okay, how did we even get here in the first place? And let's not forget that we live in a society that stigmatizes our men a lot. And if you are married as a wife, the last thing you don't want to happen is to make your husband feel like he's doing something wrong by saying, let's have sex. Which is not true, which is not correct. Okay, so take for instance, you're in the house and your husband never initiates sex. That's not healthy. Okay, the first way you get to know that a marriage is not thriving or a marriage is not going well is asking about their sex life, because what sex does to you, sex brings you together, sex bonds you. So if the one and the most important thing that bonds you is having issues already, maybe because of a wrong ideology or a wrong knowledge and understanding about sex, that's ultimately going to affect every other aspect of the marriage at the long run or in the long run. Okay, so when you say your husband is always asking for sex, if that's how you think about it, when your husband says let's go have sex, or maybe you're probably thinking it's been a while you had sex, you're not going to want to go extra mile because you think that your husband is asking for too much. And scientifically, because I love to go with facts, I was actually reading about, is it true that men love sex more than women? And what I saw is, it seems like men love sex more than women, but it is not entirely true. Okay, it is not entirely true. So we don't want our husbands to feel like they are doing something wrong because they are asking us to have sex or they want us to have sex. But when we think about sex like, oh, my husband is asking for sex, we're probably going to react or respond based on how we think about it. So here is where I'm going. My point is, we need to stop saying these lines so that doesn't affect how we see sex with our husband. Rather than saying, I'm giving my husband sex, or saying my husband is always asking for sex. It's like your husband saying that my wife is always asking for care and attention. That doesn't even make sense. So rather than thinking it that way, how about if we see it that this is something that is a commitment, is one of the ways to show ourselves that we love ourselves. It's our commitment to each other, to share our body with each other when we get married. Okay, so if you see it that way, you're gonna want to initiate sex as a wife. And when your husband now says, hey babe, let's go to the other room, let's go have sex or have a nice time, you're not gonna see it as a burden. And I kind of understand that, there could be some extreme out there, but that's not where I'm going. But I'm saying that we need to change how we view sex with our husbands so that we can enjoy every other aspect of our sex life. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below till I come your way another time.